My daughter gave up her son, so we raised him as our own. 25 years later, she came back to blackmail us for money. I still remember the exact moment my daughter told us she was pregnant. It was a Tuesday evening in early April. Carla and I had just sat down for dinner, roast chicken, green beans, mashed potatoes, the usual, when Selena stormed in, arms crossed, jaw tight. She didn't even look at us before blurting it out. I'm pregnant, and I'm not keeping it. Just like that. No warning, no lead up. Carla dropped her fork. I just stared at her, trying to make sense of what I'd heard. Selena, Carla started gently. What do you mean, you're not keeping it? Selena rolled her eyes like we were idiots. I mean, I'm not raising it. You and Dad are. End of story. She wasn't crying. She wasn't scared. If anything, she looked proud of herself, like she'd just finished a school project early. I've got a life to live, and I'm not ruining it for a baby I didn't even want in the first place. Carla looked at me, her eyes wide, searching for a reaction. I had none. My brain was stuck on the word baby. My 17-year-old daughter was pregnant, and she expected me, to step in like it was some group assignment she could hand off. I wanted to be mad. I should have been. But mostly, I was stunned. What about the father? I finally asked. She shrugged. Gone. Doesn't want anything to do with it. And neither do I. So you guys can do the whole parenting thing again. You're already pros. She said it like it was a joke. Like we should be grateful to have the honor. Carla's voice trembled. Sweetheart, you can't just drop this on us and expect. I'm not asking, Selena cut her off. I'm telling you. The baby was born in December. A boy. We named him Dean. There was no fight over custody. Selena signed the papers with a smirk, like she was finally checking something off her to-do list. The moment the ink dried, she was gone, moved in with a friend across town, and didn't even come to the hospital to see him. Carla and I brought Dean home the next day. We were terrified. In our 50s, diapers and midnight feedings were supposed to be behind us. But the moment I held him, something shifted. He looked up at me with those wide gray eyes, and I swear, I felt something break open in my chest. Not pity, not guilt, just love. Selena barely asked about him after that. We'd get a text maybe once every few months, never asking how he was doing, just letting us know she was busy or working on herself. And eventually, the text stopped altogether. But Dean? He grew. He thrived. And slowly, we stopped thinking of him as our grandson. He was just our boy. Our second chance. Our son. Dean was for the first time he asked about her. We were in the kitchen. He was sitting on the floor playing with his toy trucks while I washed dishes. Carla was humming to herself, folding towels at the table. It was peaceful. Then, out of nowhere, he looked up at me and said, "Why doesn't my mom live with us?" I froze, hands dripping with soapy water. Carla glanced at me, her face still but her eyes wide. We'd always known this question would come. We just didn't think it would be so soon. I dried my hands and knelt beside him. She had you when she was very young, buddy. She didn't feel ready to be a mommy, so she asked us to take care of you. He looked thoughtful for a second. So she gave me to you? Carla joined me on the floor and gently brushed a curl off his forehead. She wanted you to be safe and loved. That's what we've always tried to do. Dean didn't say anything for a while. He just picked up his truck and kept playing. That was the first time. It wouldn't be the last. As the years went on, he asked about her more. Always softly. Always when it was just the three of us. Sometimes right before bed. Sometimes in the car. Never angry, just curious. Hungry for a connection to someone he'd never really known. Carla and I never badmouthed Selena. No matter how easy it would have been. We always kept it simple, honest, gentle. We told him she was finding her way. That not everyone knew how to be a parent right away. That it wasn't his fault. Every Mother's Day, Dean made her a card. He picked the paper, drew pictures, signed his name with a shaky hand and a heart at the end. I'd mail them to the address we had, even though I knew they'd never be opened. Year after year, no reply. When he was 10, he wrote her a letter. A real one. Full of questions. Do you like dogs? What's your favorite movie? Do you ever think about me? He sealed it himself and watched me slide it into the mailbox. It came back a week later. Marked, returned to sender. That night, I found him in bed, face down on his pillow, his shoulders shaking. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. I sat beside him and rubbed his back until he fell asleep. After that, the letter stopped. By the time he turned 12, he didn't bring her up as much. When he did, there was no sadness in his voice anymore. Just acceptance. A quiet understanding that some people just aren't who you hope they'd be. Carla filled the space Selena left behind with an unshakable kind of love. Soft and steady. She never missed a school event. Never skipped a birthday. Dean made her a Mother's Day card every year after that. But he gave it to her directly. And she always cried. I didn't try to replace Selena. I just showed up. Every morning. Every night. For every math test and flu shot and broken shoelace. I was just there. And eventually, Dean stopped looking backward. He looked at Carla and me and said, "You're all the parents I need." And we believed him, because we had already believed in him. Dean dropped out of college in his second year, and I'll admit, I panicked at first. Carla tried to play it cool, but I could tell by how she kept rearranging the kitchen towels that she was worried too. We'd saved for his education for years. I thought he was throwing it away. But Dean? He wasn't nervous. Not even a little. "I'm not quitting on myself," he told us. "I'm just not built for classrooms. I've got a better idea." And he did. By that summer, he'd partnered with a buddy from high school, Ralph, a lanky, soft-spoken kid who used to come over after baseball practice and raid our fridge. Together, they started a mobile pet grooming business. 2 used vans, a decent set of clippers, a social media account, and a whole lot of charm. I thought it was a long shot. But Dean had something you can't teach: warmth. He was the kind of guy who remembered your dog's birthday and called your grandma by name. Clients loved him. Within a year, he had 5 employees and more bookings than he could handle. He never let success change how he treated us. If anything, it made him more generous. "Put this toward the house," he said one night, sliding a thick white envelope across the table. "It's just a small thank you. I'd be living in my car right now if it weren't for you two." Carla started to cry, of course. I just put a hand on his shoulder and tried to swallow the lump in my throat. Then came Elise. Dean met her during a grooming session. Her golden retriever, Bandit, was apparently not a fan of baths, and she'd called in backup. I still remember the first time he brought her to dinner. She wore jeans and Converse, brought Carla a bouquet of wildflowers, and helped me fix the screen door without being asked. She was kind, down to earth. You could tell she made Dean feel steady. They were serious within months. Elise brought something out in Dean I hadn't seen before, this calm confidence. He smiled more, worried less. Carla adored her. Everything felt peaceful, solid. For the first time in a long time, I stopped bracing for the next problem. Then, on Thanksgiving morning, the phone rang. I was carving the turkey. Carla was watching the parade with Elise and Dean. I picked it up without checking the caller ID. "Hey, Dad." It took me a second to place the voice. Gravelly, too casual. Detached in that way I remembered all too well. It was Selena. "Mind if I stop by this weekend?" she said. Thought maybe it was time we talked. I didn't answer right away. The knife in my hand hovered mid-carve. Because after 25 years of silence, my daughter, Dean's birth mother, was suddenly back. And something in her tone made my stomach twist. Something told me this wasn't about reconnecting. Not really. Selena picked the place. A steakhouse on the edge of town, all polished wood and dim lighting. The kind of spot people went to impress clients or celebrate anniversaries. She didn't even ask if it worked for us. Just texted Dean the name and time like we were old friends getting together for drinks. I hadn't seen her in 25 years. I'll admit it, I wasn't sure I wanted to. But Dean said, "Let's just hear her out," and Carla, bless her, tried to keep an open mind. The hostess led us to a booth in the back. Selena was already there, wearing a red dress that didn't match the occasion and too much perfume. She stood to hug Dean, who gave her a polite one-armed squeeze like you'd give someone you barely knew. "Wow," she said, sizing him up like a stranger in a waiting room. "You look so grown. So successful." Dean just smiled. "Thanks." She gave Carla and me a nod. "You both look the same." We ordered drinks. Small talk floated around, Selena asking questions with no real interest behind them. "How's work? Still married? Do you guys travel?" That sort of thing. I kept my answer short. Carla stuck to sipping her water. Then Selena leaned in and smiled like she was about to tell us a secret. "So, listen, I've been in kind of a rough patch. Nothing crazy, just a few missteps. Bad luck. You know how it goes." Dean raised an eyebrow. I've been thinking," she continued, stirring her wine with the straw like it was a cocktail. "Maybe this is a good time to start over. New apartment, maybe get my teeth fixed, pick up a couple certifications, that sort of thing." She looked directly at Dean, that fake sweetness flickering across her face. "I was wondering if you could help me out, just to get back on my feet. 20 grand should cover it." Silence. I choked on my water. Carla blinked like she misheard. Dean didn't flinch. He calmly cut his steak. "That's a lot of money." "It's an investment," Selena said, beaming. "In your mother." "You mean the woman who hasn't seen me since I was in diapers?" His tone didn't rise. He didn't look angry. Just curious. "Oh, come on." She laughed lightly. "That was a long time ago. I've grown. People change." I could feel my blood boiling. Carla reached under the table and squeezed my knee. "Stay calm." Dean wiped his mouth with a napkin and nodded. "Sure." That was it. Just sure. He didn't argue. He didn't push back. The rest of dinner went on like nothing happened. We walked her to her car. She hugged Dean again, this time longer, like she thought the deal was sealed. When we got home, Dean pulled out his phone and tapped the screen a few times. "Did you really just send her money?" I asked. He smiled. "Yep." "How much?" Carla asked cautiously. 20, he said. Thousand. No. $20. 1,000th of what she asked for. Carla and I stared at him. She'll get the message, Dean said, slipping his phone into his pocket. Just trust me. The $20 landed in Selena's account the next morning. By noon, Dean had 5 missed calls and 2 voicemails. By sunset, the messages turned angry. Voicemail number 3. So that's how you treat your mother? $20? Are you trying to humiliate me? Voicemail number 5. You think you're better than me because they raised you? You wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for me. Dean didn't respond. He didn't even flinch when he played them on speaker. Carla and I stood in the kitchen listening, watching his face, searching for a crack in the calm. There wasn't one. She's not going to let this go, Carla said softly. Dean shrugged. She can spin her wheels. I'm not getting dragged. The next day, she showed up at his business. It was around lunchtime. I was just getting home from the grocery store when Carla's phone rang. She answered, and immediately, her eyes widened. Oh God, it's Ralph. Nathan, she's there. She's at the shop. I grabbed my keys. By the time I got there, she was already mid-performance. Selena was in the parking lot, arms waving, voice raised loud enough to catch the attention of half the block. Customers were watching from their cars, a couple filming discreetly. Ralph stood just inside the entrance, phone in hand, recording everything. You owe me, she shouted, jabbing a finger in Dean's direction. After everything I gave up, I gave you life. Dean stood beside the grooming van, hands calmly in his pockets. Ma'am, he said, voice even, I've asked you not to come here. This is a place of business. Selena spun toward the crowd. Can you believe this? My own son, treating me like trash. I came here for help, and he sends me grocery money like I'm some beggar. One of the clients, a woman holding a poodle, turned to Ralph. Is this for real? Ralph didn't even blink. Yup, got the whole thing. Dean took a slow step forward. You're trespassing now, and I have to ask you to leave. You promised me, she screamed. You said you'd help me start over. You lied to me. No, Dean replied, his tone like steel. You lied when you said this was about family. This was always about money. She lunged, not violently, just a dramatic step like she was going to slap the air out of him. Dean didn't flinch. Ralph stepped in between them, hand raised, phone still rolling. Don't touch him, Ralph said. You need to leave. Now. Selena's expression shifted in an instant, from rage to panic to fake tears. You people don't understand. He's not who you think he is. He's a manipulator. He's hiding things. I have proof. Dean tilted his head. Then show it. Right here. Right now. She blinked. No words. Just shallow breathing. That's when a security guard from the complex finally stepped in and began guiding her to the edge of the lot. I'll be back, she shouted over her shoulder. This isn't over. I'll expose you. Dean didn't even look at her as she left. Once she was gone, Ralph handed Dean his phone. Got every second. Dean smiled. Good. She'll try to twist this. As the buzz of conversation faded and customers returned to their cars, Carla stepped out of mine and walked over to him. She's unraveling, she whispered. I know, Dean said. And I'm not giving her a single reason to pull me down with her. Then he looked up at me. She's coming hard now. But I've got a plan. I nodded. Because in that moment, I realized something. Selena was spiraling, and Dean wasn't afraid. He was ready. 2 days later, Selena went viral for all the wrong reasons. She'd posted a video on Facebook and TikTok. Black and white filter, sad piano music, tearful voice. I carried him for 9 months. Gave him life. And now he won't even return my calls. She showed old baby photos, some we'd shared with her years ago, flipping through them slowly. Then came the kicker, a screenshot of Dean's $20 payment with the caption, "This is what my son thinks I'm worth." The video racked up views fast. Sympathy poured in from strangers who didn't know any better. Comments like, "What kind of monster treats his mom like this?" and "Money changes people" flooded the post. Dean didn't say a word. For 3 full days, he stayed quiet, like a man letting a storm pass. Then he posted his own video. No filters. No music. Just him, sitting at his office desk in a gray hoodie, calmly scrolling through his phone. Hey, he started, voice steady. This is for anyone who saw my biological mother's video. He held up his phone and tapped. Let me show you something. Then he laid it all out. Text messages. Voicemails. The dinner request. The $20,000 demand. Footage of her meltdown in his parking lot. Ralph had filmed it all in crisp 4K, with timestamps. She didn't reach out because she missed me. She reached out because she wanted money. And when I didn't give it to her, she tried to humiliate me. He paused, then added, I'm not here for pity. I'm not even mad. But I won't be manipulated into silence. He ended with a single line. Being related to someone doesn't mean you owe them your peace. The response was immediate. Within hours, his video was being shared faster than hers. Clients commented by the dozens, stories of how Dean went above and beyond for their pets, for their families. One even posted a picture of her dog with the caption, "Dean's been more of a parent to my rescue pup than his own mom was to him." The tide turned. Selena's video started attracting different comments now. "You left him," someone wrote. "Why are you crying now?" Another added, "Maybe if you'd been there, you wouldn't need handouts today." Carla and I watched it all unfold like people seeing justice in real time. It wasn't revenge. It was exposure. But Selena wasn't done. She filed a police report. She claimed Dean had stolen from her, that he'd promised to help her financially and had gone back on his word. She even accused him of emotional cruelty. We found out when a detective called Dean, asking him to come in for a brief conversation. Dean went, calm, composed. Brought all his documentation, texts, contracts, the footage. The detective barely made it through the file before sighing. "I'm sorry you had to go through this," he said. "We'll be closing this out as unfounded. But let us know if she continues." Dean nodded and thanked him. On the way home, I asked him if he was okay. He stared out the passenger window, Joss said. "I'm fine," he said. "But I'm done letting her set the terms." And I believed him. Because after all the damage Selena had tried to do, she was the one being buried by her own lies, exposed one quiet truth at a time. It was a rainy Tuesday when Selena came to our door. I was in the garage fixing a loose shelf when Carla called out, her voice shaking. "Nathan, she's here." I didn't have to ask who. My stomach dropped. I stepped into the hallway just as Selena stepped into our living room, soaked from the rain but still trying to hold herself like someone in control. She had a tissue in one hand and a grocery store umbrella in the other. "Hi, Dad," she said, voice fragile. Carla stood beside the armchair, arms crossed, saying nothing. "I just wanted to talk," Selena continued, sniffling as she sat down uninvited. "I've been doing a lot of thinking. About my life. About Dean. About you too." She glanced around the room like she was searching for sympathy. Her eyes landed on a photo of Dean on the fireplace graduation day, cap crooked, Carla kissing his cheek. "I made mistakes," she said, "but that doesn't mean I'm a bad person." Carla still hadn't spoken. I stepped forward. "What do you want, Selena?" She blinked at the question. I need help, okay? Not money," she rushed to add, "not exactly. I need time. A place to reset. Somewhere safe to land while I get back on my feet." I didn't answer. I just looked at her, really looked at her. The tears were there. The trembling voice. But there was something else too rehearsed. Too familiar. Carla finally spoke. "You mean moving with us?" "Just for a little while," Selena said, looking straight at me. "You always said family comes first." That stung. Because I had said that. Over and over. To Dean. To Carla. Even to myself when I was trying to make sense of Selena's choices all those years ago. She leaned forward. "You're my dad. You raised Dean. You have a good heart. I know you don't want to see me out on the street." And for a second, I hated myself for it. I felt something crack. I thought of the little girl who used to fall asleep in the backseat after ballet class. Who made me Father's Day cards with glitter and crooked hearts. Maybe she had changed. Maybe. The front door opened behind us. Dean. He stepped inside, shaking off the rain, and froze when he saw her. Her face lit up. "Dean, baby." "Don't," he said. Just one word. Firm. Flat. He looked at me, eyes dark. "What's going on?" I didn't answer right away. And that pause? That second of hesitation? It broke something. Dean turned to Selena. "You need to leave." Selena stood, indignant now. "I'm not the enemy. I just want to be part of the family again." Dean stepped between her and the couch. "You had that chance 25 years ago." Selena's eyes flicked to me. "You're really going to let him talk to me like that?" I didn't say a word. Dean exhaled and turned to me again. "I can't be here for this." And just like that, he walked out. Carla sat down, burying her face in her hands. And I stood there, realizing my moment of weakness might have cost me more than I was ready to lose. Dean invited her to dinner the following week. He picked the fanciest restaurant in the county. White tablecloths, candlelight, the kind of place that charged $40 for a plate with 3 scallops on it. He told Carla and me about the plan, but only the broad strokes. "I'm meeting her," he said, "and I need you two to trust me." Carla wasn't thrilled, but she nodded. I didn't say much. Just watched my son put on his nicest shirt, tuck in the hem, and pocket something small and black. I recognized it as a voice recorder. He didn't try to hide it. "She thinks I'm naive," he said with a faint smile. "Let's use that." Selena showed up dressed like she was auditioning for a reality show. Too much perfume. A borrowed fur shrug. She looked around the restaurant like she didn't belong but was determined to act like she did. "Wow," she said, settling into the booth across from Dean. "You really pulled out all the stops, huh?" Dean poured her a glass of wine. "I thought we could celebrate a fresh start." Her eyes sparkled. "That's all I've ever wanted." The waiter came. They ordered. Small talk followed, fake laughter, compliments. Selena talked about the job she almost got, the people who betrayed her, how hard it was being misunderstood. Dean nodded, murmuring encouragement. That sounds tough, he said. Really unfair. She smiled, relaxing with every sip of wine. Her voice got looser. You know, she said, swirling her glass, if you really wanted to help, you could get your clients involved. Some of those rich pet people must have connections. A few good reviews, maybe a couple donations. Dean tilted his head. You mean like donations to you? Sure, she said. I mean, why not? You've got a whole empire now. I gave you life, remember? She laughed, but it landed hard. Dean smiled. That's true. Then she leaned in, voice dropping. Between you and me, I made that whole sob story video just to get attention. People eat that stuff up. Guilt is like currency online. Dean didn't blink. Interesting strategy. I mean, I don't really care what strangers think. I just needed to shake things up. And it worked, didn't it? She took another sip. You're here, right? Dean let a few beats pass, then reached into his pocket and pulled out the recorder. He placed it on the table. Press stop. Her face went pale. What's that? She asked, suddenly still. Dean leaned forward, his tone quiet. You just confessed to faking your situation, manipulating me, and plotting to target my clients. That's not what I said. Dean hit play. Her voice echoed back from the tiny speaker. Guilt is like currency online. Just needed to shake things up. Between you and me. Selena reached for the device, but Dean calmly slipped it into his coat. This whole dinner, he said, it was never about making peace. It was about making things clear. Dean, she hissed, voice cracking, this isn't fair. No, he replied, rising from the booth. It's honest. You've spent your life twisting people to get what you want. Not anymore. He dropped a few bills on the table and looked her in the eyes. We're done. Then he walked out. By the time he got to his car, the audio file was already posted online, along with a statement. This is who she really is. I'm not responding to her again. This ends here. Within the hour, it had over 50,000 views. The comments were relentless. And for the first time since Selena forced her way back into our lives, she had no defense. Just her own words, played back for the world to hear. She came to his office the next afternoon. No cameras. No audience. No warning. Dean was reviewing invoices when Ralph buzzed in from the front desk. Hey. She's here. He didn't need to say the name. Dean stood slowly, slipped his phone into his pocket, and walked out to the waiting area. Selena was sitting stiffly on the little couch near the window. No makeup. No jewelry. Just a wrinkled hoodie and a dazed look in her eyes. When she saw Dean, she stood up fast, like she wasn't sure if she was there to beg or accuse. I just want to talk, she said quickly. Just hear me out. Please. Dean nodded once and led her to the back office. She sat across from him, folding and unfolding her hands. Her voice trembled. You destroyed me. Dean didn't respond. You humiliated me online. People are calling me a scammer, a liar. I've had to shut down everything. You made the video, Dean said calmly. You came to my workplace and screamed at me. You tried to blackmail me with lies. I didn't destroy anything. I just let people see who you are. Selena leaned forward, eyes wet now. I didn't know what I was doing. I was desperate. I was lost. But I'm still your mother. No, Dean said. You're the woman who gave birth to me. That's not the same thing. She sucked in a breath like he'd hit her. Then her voice hardened. I can't fix my life without help. You have money. I don't. I need something. You've needed something your entire life, he said quietly. And every time someone gives it to you, you burn the bridge behind them. Selena stood suddenly, her hands shaking. You think you're so righteous now? You think just because they raised you, you're better than me? Dean stood too, keeping his tone even. No, I think I'm nothing like you. And then she snapped. She lunged across the desk, hand raised, like she meant to slap him, but her hand never connected. Ralph burst in, grabbed her wrist mid-swing. Don't. She froze. For a second, her whole body trembled, like she was about to collapse right there. Then she sagged back into the chair, silent. Dean stared at her. You need help, Selena. Real help. Not money. Not followers. Therapy. Recovery. Something. She looked up at him, eyes wild. I just needed you. You had me, he said. You left. Security escorted her out. We didn't hear from her for 3 days. Then Carla opened her inbox and froze. Nathan, she whispered. You need to read this. It was an email. From Selena. Just one line. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. No signature. No details. Carla gasped. I reached for the phone. Dean, when we called him, was already dialing the authorities. Police tracked her down within an hour. She was in a motel, alive, unharmed, and, as we later found out, completely fine. It had been another manipulation. A bluff. A stunt. This time, Dean didn't call her back. He didn't post anything. He didn't reply to the cops when they asked if he wanted to press charges for harassment. He just forwarded the email to them, blocked her address, and kept moving. because she had finally run out of ways to pull him back in, and he wasn't going to turn around anymore. The last time we saw Selena, it was on a courtroom monitor. She didn't even look our way, just sat in the defendant's chair with her arms crossed and her jaw clenched like the world owed her something. The charges were clear: financial fraud, defamation, and a long list of harassment counts tied directly to Dean and his business. The prosecutor had everything: texts, video, screenshots, even the recording from the dinner. Dean hadn't needed to speak at all, but the judge offered him a chance at the sentencing. He stood, hands clasped in front of him. Calm. Steady. The whole room was silent, waiting. "I don't have anything to say," he said simply. Then he sat back down. I looked over at Carla. She exhaled softly, one tear escaping down her cheek. Afterwards, outside the courthouse, we asked him why he didn't speak. "What's left to say?" he replied. "She knows what she did, and I don't need her to hear me. I just need her out of our lives." And she was. The restraining order made it official. The sentence, 18 months with no early release, meant peace, at least for a while. Dean didn't celebrate. He just went back to work. Back to Elise. Back to the steady life he built for himself. They got married that fall. It was small, just 40 people, in a garden lit by strings of warm lights. Elise wore a simple ivory dress, Dean in a navy suit. No theatrics. No drama. Just people who loved them. I stood beside him as his best man. Carla walked him down the aisle. After the vows, he leaned in and whispered, "I never thought I'd get here." "Not really. You earned it," I said. He nodded, and for once, I saw the boy he used to be. The one with big eyes and soft curls, who used to ask where the moon went during the day. A year later, Elise gave birth to a baby girl. Dean called us from the hospital, crying and laughing at once. "She's healthy. She's perfect." "What's her name?" Carla asked, clutching the phone. There was a pause, then, "Carla." My wife dropped into the nearest chair and burst into tears. When we visited the next morning, I held my granddaughter for the first time. She blinked up at me, pink-cheeked and warm, and I felt something settle inside me, a quiet peace that had taken decades to find. Dean looked over from the couch, Elise's hand in his. I wanted her to grow up knowing the kind of woman who saved my life. Carla wiped her eyes and kissed his forehead. "You saved yourself, sweetheart. We just gave you a place to start." Now, years later, Dean's business is still thriving. His home is full of laughter. Sunday dinners are loud and warm and cluttered with toys. Selena's name isn't mentioned much. Not because it's taboo, but because she doesn't matter anymore. The past tried to take him down, but he built something stronger in spite of it. And as I watch him teach his daughter how to hold a wrench, or listen to her call Carla Nana in that squeaky toddler voice, I know something for certain. She is the child of love, not absence. She is the legacy of the second chance we were never supposed to have. And this time, we all belong.